taking to the grass later on in the lap. Bennett is now back up and on the circuit in 7th position, but he really had an opportunity to pick up some major points here. One of the top performers in the opening 3 rounds of the season, Nick Bennett. Things haven't gone quite so well since then. In fact, he scored just 13 points all weekend last time out at round number 6. Will Howarth then over 4 seconds clear of Brandon Payne in second. New personal best laps on lap 6 for Mark Payne and Andy Whedon, who are still fighting it out over 4th position. That is the closest at the moment. 3rd, 4th and 5th, Justin Bainbridge, Mark Payne and Andy Whedon. Behind the race leaders, Will Howarth and Brandon Payne, separated by 4 seconds. 4 seconds behind them as well to Justin Bainbridge in 3rd, as they come now in towards the final lap. Will Howarth completes lap number 7, 1 lap to go. It's been a dominant performance. The opening 3 laps, he was a second a lap faster than anyone else. Race going on for 3rd, diving down the inside, Mark Payne. He can't quite get there, but he moves Justin Bainbridge off the line. Bainbridge now moves to block. He looks over his shoulder, realises Payne is already alongside, and through comes Mark Payne for 3rd position. Watch out for Andy Whedon trying to come through as well now, attempting to capitalise on Bainbridge's misfortune. He's alongside, he's stuck on the outside line though, and Bainbridge holds the place for now. So Mark Payne coming through quite superbly from 7th on the grid and up to 3rd. Will move him into 2nd in the championship standings overall. A good effort here as Bainbridge now defends, coming towards the checkered flag. Will Howarth wins it. Yet another win for him. 2nd place will go to Brandon Payne. But the real race throughout has been for 3rd place, and it's going to go to Mark Payne, but only just ahead of Justin Bainbridge in 4th and Andy Whedon in 5th. Great racing over the final step on the podium, but it's Mark Payne in the end who takes it, coming through the field from 7th to 3rd, aided admittedly by a crash for Paul Nicholls earlier in the race, a spin for Josh Darter, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Nick Bennett, who ended up taking to the grass, who now comes over the line in 7th position. It's Will Howarth who wins it by 5 seconds over Brandon Payne. Mark Payne coming through from 7th to 3rd, Justin Bainbridge and Andy Whedon in a close pack directly behind him. Those 3 separated by just half a second over the finish line at the end of race number 1 in the senior mini motos.
Yes, and 2 more races to follow in the senior mini motos tomorrow. And of course we will be streaming live radio coverage of it, or of them, on the Cool FAB-Racing website, coolfabracing.com. And providing that we have a good enough 4G signal, we will try and get the stream live on Facebook as well, on the Cool FAB-Racing Facebook page. So if you're still tuned in to us on Facebook, on our various feeds, and well done, and thank you very much, and let us know who you are supporting today. A couple more races left to go this afternoon. Junior LC40s out on track next, followed by the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team categories. And we did start the first race after lunch anyway. We did start Alex Rabia approximately half an hour behind schedule, thanks to the marshalling and the team in race control. We've now, I think, according to my calculations, caught up and are now back on schedule, and with 2 races left to go on this Saturday afternoon here at Glanigors, where the sun is just peeping through the clouds.
I know, I was mocking this morning the grey clouds that sat over us, like the Addams Family house, you know, literally just a cloud hanging over the circuit. But yeah, as you said, the sun is creeping through. It's quite pleasant, to be honest, with a bit of blue sky. Great backdrop for those of you who can't see it at home. The rolling hills, populated by sheep and cows, and then of course a race circuit right in the middle of it. And well, we've seen some great on-track action as well as the pleasant surroundings of it.
I think I realised when there was it looked like at least 20 cows in the very near field just behind the paddock when they all seemingly sprinted or jogged towards one part of the track.
Well, I got a little bit excited, didn't I? It was quite funny, actually. They all ran over to the far side. Actually, they were running towards hospitality, so I'm wondering if they were preparing something over there that had a smell.
Could it have been perhaps that you were commentating on the race, whatever race it was, I forget now, and the commentary was just so amazing. They had to come and check out what was going on track.
Lester obviously wants me back tomorrow, so he's trying to make sure of that. No, it's been good racing so far. I'm not sure what the cows are all about. That's not my area of expertise. I'll stick to the bikes, which will surely be back out on track.
Yeah, Alex can commentate till the cows come home. Thank you very much.
He will be back tomorrow, unfortunately, unless you can offer him something not to. Nice effort, Lester. That wasn't the funniest. But anyway, yes, he can talk till the cows come home. I was asked to do ferret racing once, funnily enough. That's the only animal sport that I've ever been asked to commentate. Got a phone call through asking me if I would do ferret racing. Maybe one day. Who knows?
So just as the next racers head out onto track, a quick reminder though that we'd like to share the live streams happening at the moment online on Facebook. Do like and share the stream so that everybody else who's not here can enjoy the next race, which is the first race in the Junior LC40s.
Junior LC40 category, race number 1. Casey O'Gorman comes into this one with a 114-point advantage, so nearing the margin that he needs to find in terms of the championship overall, but won't be able to confirm things just yet. Casey O'Gorman, who leads the way. Second in the championship standings, Ross Maguire, 114 points back, and 114 points further back than that is Evan Belford. So quite sizable margins between each of the top three, and the closest battle in the series overall is for third position. Evan Belford on 207 points, then Bailey Stewart Campbell 195 and Declan Connell 191 directly behind. Declan Connell, though, could only qualify in 14th position, so he really is going to have a tough weekend trying to make it back from the lower reaches of the top 10 in each of his outings, and that leaves the favourites up at the front end. Casey O'Gorman on pole, Ross Maguire alongside, Evan Belford in third. The top three in the championship standings are the top three on the grid. Johnny Garnes lining up on P4. Missed two of the first 3 rounds of the season in this class, but is making up for it this weekend with a good qualifying performance. Row 3, Taylor Lawrence and Ollie Walker. Row 4, Bailey Stewart Campbell, who sits 4th in the championship standings. Consistency the key for him in this class this season. And Ryan Hitchcock, who lines up alongside him. Mason Foster and Cameron Sewell rounding out the top 10. It was a good effort from Sewell to make it into the top 10 through the qualifying stages. In terms of the championship favourites, in terms of the favourites for this race, they are the top 3 on the grid, the top 3 in the championship. O'Gorman leads by 114 points over Ross Maguire and lines up directly alongside him on the front row of the grid for race 1 in the Junior LC40s. Riders then watching for the lights. Will O'Gorman make the break? Movement there from Johnny Garnes before we got underway with the race. He's unable to gain an advantage. They go 3 abreast further down the order for 5th, 6th and 7th positions. We've got a faller right towards the tail end of the field, and hopefully, both riders are immediately up at least to knees in a sitting position. The race continuing for now. We'll see if those machines and youngsters are moved away in time to enable us to continue. The perils of turn number 1, which is what it's turned out to be. Club Corner has claimed more victims than any other corner here so far this afternoon, as the race leaders continue their duel. Johnny Garnes tried to make the break. He was rolling before the lights went out and ended up missing out because the others still managed to find a way through, going down into turn 1. And Garnes has dropped back from the top 3, but the top 3 are really in a group together, separated by 0.2 of a second. O'Gorman, Belford and Maguire. O'Gorman looking over his shoulder, sees that Belford got a good run off turn 1. Belford comes sweeping around the outside and picks up the race lead. Evan Belford hits the front. Casey O'Gorman tries to respond down the inside. He can't quite get there. Evan Belford is your new race leader. Casey O'Gorman second. Ross Maguire in third, watching intently and waiting for an opportunity to strike as Bailey Stewart-Campbell tries to strike further down the order on Johnny Garnes for 4th position. He's under pressure in turn from Taylor Lawrence. There's a bit of a gap behind the top 6. 2 groups of 3 riders. A race for 1st to 3rd and a race for 4th to 6th. O'Gorman, having been passed by Evan Belford, will now have to regroup and try to find a way back through. In 4 of the 6 rounds this season, O'Gorman has gone completely unbeaten all weekend. Well, a hope of going a 5th unbeaten will rest on whether he can find a way past Evan Belford, the race leader, by a 1/10 of a second at the end of lap 2. Side by side, he's cut through. Casey O'Gorman finds a way back past Evan Belford to lead off the spoon. Nicely done. Perfect move, well executed. And Belford is relegated to 2nd place, and Maguire is watching these two overtaking one another and hoping that an opportunity will present itself to make his way into the top 2. 3rd for the moment. Back to the race for 4th position. It's still Johnny Garnes holding on ahead of Bailey Stewart-Campbell and Taylor Lawrence, but 0.2 separating all 3 of them as they come through to complete lap number 3. A new fastest lap of the race from Casey O'Gorman to get the better of Evan Belford. Side by side now for 5th position. Taylor Lawrence tries to find a way through. Bailey Stewart-Campbell moves to block. He's done so successfully. Taylor Lawrence didn't know which way to go. Bailey Stewart-Campbell was weaving down the straight, left and right, to defend against Taylor Lawrence, who's going to have to be very smart to find a way through against such a defensive ride. But while Stewart-Campbell is swinging left and right, it's going to be difficult to close in on the rider ahead of him, Johnny Garnes, who holds that 4th position. O'Gorman, Belford and Maguire. Garnes, Stewart-Campbell and Lawrence. Lawrence in particular has the momentum within this group, has an opportunity to get alongside, down the inside into Paddock Bend, not quite, down the inside again into turn number 1, again not quite. Taylor Lawrence getting his nose chopped off. Bailey Stewart-Campbell really is weaving down the Dragon Straight, moved right coming off turn 1 and then left again to block, and Taylor Lawrence can't find a way through there. Stewart-Campbell obviously feels slower going up that straight than his rivals. At the moment, it looks as though he's faster than Johnny Garnes. He's making a move down the inside. Through he comes for 4th position. Brilliant move from Bailey Stewart-Campbell. So after defending so aggressively against Taylor Lawrence, he then makes an opportunistic move down into the carousel. Thunderous move down the inside. Now, can Taylor Lawrence move through as well? Garnes relegated to 4th position. Taylor Lawrence attempting to attack 4th, 5th and 6th, packed closely together. 5th place is with Johnny Garnes, trying to recover now down the inside of Bailey Stewart-Campbell. We know Stewart-Campbell defends quite aggressively down the Dragon Straight. He's done so again here, moves to the right coming off turn 1 before sweeping back onto the racing line just to cover potential overtaking manoeuvres. Johnny Garnes then in 5th with Taylor Lawrence for company. Been very close throughout for 4th, 5th and 6th positions. Still fairly close between the top 3. They're still separated by less than a second. Evan Belford ahead of Ross Maguire in the race for 2nd position. Casey O'Gorman has put more than half a second now between himself and the other 2, so it looks as though he's on his way towards victory. Maguire sizing up a move on Belford. Can't quite get there. Belford looks over his shoulder, realises he's lost ground on that lap. 0.2 of a second, in fact, he's lost. Further back the race for 4th, Bailey Stewart-Campbell doing a great job here. Taylor Lawrence has got a brilliant run on Johnny Garnes. Garnes moves to block. Lawrence will come again. Garnes goes thundering down the inside. Late move down the inside for 4th on Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Gets the move made. He's still got the inside. Stewart-Campbell tried to surge back around the outside but ended up getting moved offline. Can Taylor Lawrence capitalise from 6th position? Not for the moment. Bailey Stewart-Campbell tries to lunge back down the inside of Johnny Garnes but can't find a way through. and Taylor Lawrence, who had the racing line, was stuck on the outside and couldn't find a way past either. Still those three close for 4th, 5th and 6th. Lawrence goes the long way around one of the lapped runners. Close for 2nd place as well as they come into the final lap. Ross Maguire down the inside of Evan Belford, backs out of it into turn number 1. Maguire then up the hill, up to the far end of the circuit, as Taylor Lawrence gets a real bobble coming around turn number 1. Sounds as though one of those 3 runners hit the curb quite hard coming into the first turn, at least with their knee, if not with anything else. Lawrence with an opportunity to get the better of Bailey Stewart-Campbell after Stewart-Campbell was passed by Johnny Garnes on that previous lap. And Ross Maguire still chasing down Evan Belford for 2nd place. Belford covering it for the moment. Maguire looking for a way through. They are completely nose to tail as they come through the twisty sequence of turns into Devil's Elbow and then round Paddock Bend for the final time. Maguire gets a good run there. Belford is offline slightly. Maguire thinks about a move down the inside. Belford covers it. Maguire in the drag race down to the line, misses out. O'Gorman wins it. Belford 2nd, Maguire 3rd. 4th position goes to Johnny Garnes. Very close for 5th position, but Bailey Stewart-Campbell holds on ahead of Taylor Lawrence in 6th. The rest of the runners filtering around were some way adrift in the end. Ollie Walker takes 7th position, Ryan Hitchcock in 8th, Emmanuel Brinton gets 9th, and Declan Connell comes through from 14th on the grid to eventually take 10th position. But what an effort that was, both from the 3 riders in the battle for top spot, who were separated by 1.5 seconds at the checkered flag, and the 3 riders involved in the scrap from 4th to 6th. 2 distinctive battles going on in that race, and superb entertainment right to the checkered flag.
Is the FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, the official partner series to the BSB.
And a new BSB star as of last week. Brad Ray, podium winner, 3rd place at Alton Park, takes his position presumably on the front row and in pole position for this race. Now, when he has been in pole position previously in this particular race, he's elected to start from the back, or maybe on this particular weekend he might just want to take up that front place on the grid. We'll wait and see exactly what happens with that, but it was a magnificent achievement, and well done, congratulations to Brad for getting his first BSB podium in the top BSB class last week at Alton, and he's back here racing in FAB-Racing round 7 in Wales at Glanagors. And you're listening to live radio coverage online and here at the track. Last race of the afternoon is coming up next. Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team category, as all the bikes thunder out onto track to green flag lap. And if you're listening in beautiful stereo sound online, you can hear just how brilliant these bikes do actually sound, and it looks like we might have an early casualty already as one person pulls over from I think mid-pack. He's looking like he's not going to be taking the start. Can't quite see who that is, but Alex Raby has the grid.
I thought you were going to ask me to name that rider. He's now sat down in a bush, so it's definitely impossible to see who it is, and too far away from us up here in our commentary position. We've got no way.
I think that's the international
seeing.
sign. If you sat down in a bush, you're not taking the start of the race.
I think we could assume quite safely that, or quite unsafely,
as one of the marshals
up Dragon Straight, one of the marshals wants to see what that's all about. But yeah, I would suggest that as opposed to going for a toilet break halfway up Dragon Straight, it's most probably a bike failure part way around on the warm-up lap. Okay then, we're lining up for race 1 in the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team category, the final race of the day at round 7 at the 2017 FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championship. The front row will be occupied by Brad Ray alongside Will Howarth. Those were the top 2 in qualifying, the top performers in their respective classes. Brad Ray top in the Pit Bike 140, Will Howarth top in the Moto Team class. He's not top in the championship standings in the Moto Team category, having sat out rounds 3 and 4. It's Darren Anderson who lines up directly behind him, who is the current championship leader with a 20-point advantage over Will Howarth, but Howarth can make up some of that here if he can get the better of Darren Anderson. Alongside Anderson, third on the grid, second row of the grid, is Jamie King, the current championship leader in the Pit Bike 140 category. And he has a significant advantage over his nearest rival participating here today, which is Ben Pascoe, lining up down in 9th place and more than 100 points behind Jamie King. Alongside Ben Pascoe is Fraser Kinnaird, who's currently third in the Moto Team class, but he's got a couple of riders between himself, or a couple of rows of the grid indeed, between himself and the 2 current leaders in the Moto Team Championship. Here we go then for race 1 in the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team class. Split grid, Brad Ray alongside Will Howarth, the respective leaders in class in qualifying, starting on the front row. Jamie King, the current championship leader in the Pit Bike 140, lining up on the second row with the championship leader of the Moto Team class, Darren Anderson. Ray away well. Jamie King with a fantastic start as well, but then bogs down coming around turn 1 and has to work hard to hold back Darren Anderson, who's made a good getaway. Side by side as they go up to the far end of the circuit, there's no challenger to Brad Ray, who's made a supreme start. Will Howarth away well, eventually in second position. It looked as though he was going to be passed by Jamie King down into turn 1, but eventually Howarth got the momentum to make the pass and hold on. So it's Brad Ray up front, Will Howarth in second position, Jamie King back down in third, Darren Anderson in fourth position. Was that Ian Jackson who got away well off the line as well? As they make their way back towards us, we've got a close fight for 5th and 6th positions. It's Howarth holding on in P2. Brad Ray's checked out. 2.5 seconds faster than anyone else on lap number 1. That is astonishing. Now you understand why Brad Ray tends to start from the back of the grid. A lot more entertaining for himself to have to find his way through traffic. Will Howarth holds second. Leader in the Moto Team class has got Jamie King between himself and his nearest rival in the Moto Team category, Darren Anderson, who sits 4th on track. That's John Buckle, who's come through well into 5th position, although he's now about to be passed by Sam Clowes, who can't quite get there for the moment at least. Buckle holds on. Ray, Howarth, King, and then Darren Anderson, an increasingly isolated 4th position. 5th is still the most closely fought after place at the moment. John Buckle having got the better of Sam Clowes. Buckle through from 5th to 5th rather, up from 7th. Sporting some rather unique headgear as well, I've noticed this weekend, the number 20 bike. When he was playing with it down in the pit area earlier on, I thought it was a gag, but obviously not. Hey, it's cold in winter. Brad Ray leads us by 4 seconds after 2 laps. well, you can count him out for the remainder of this race. There's no doubt about who's going to take the checkered flag, barring incident. Then it's Will Howarth in second position, just 0.3 of a second up on Jamie King, as through down the inside now comes Sam Klaus to make the pass on John Buckle. So recovering fifth position, we've got a faller. That was Klaus after making the move by the looks of it. Back up to his feet now. Well, all change for fifth and sixth places. It's Blake Ansell who now takes up the challenge on the tail of John Buckle after that fall that sends Sam Klaus out of the top 10. Recovery from there for the number 31. So Brad Ray with another new fastest lap of the race of 50.5. Will Howarth in second place, the leader in the Moto team class. Still with Jamie King in close pursuit in third on track, second in class in the pit bike 140s. Third in the PB 140 category, John Buckle. Although I look at the track and it looks to me as though there's still potential position changes further down the order. Howarth is second, King is third. That's Darren Anderson coming through in fourth place. John Buckle is down to sixth then. Blake Ansell has come through. And that's confirmed on the timing now as Blake Ansell comes over the line and now looks to make a pass on Darren Anderson, and through he goes, just breezes past. Blake Ansell up to P4, so 2 passes in 2 laps. Darren Anderson is relegated down to fifth, doesn't really need to fight back. The two are in separate classes. Brad Ray, Will Howarth, 5 seconds between them. Jamie King, a second in arrears of Will Howarth, who sits second. Blake Ansell getting the better of John Buckle on that previous lap. And then a separate fight down the order for 7th place. Ben Pascoe ahead of Ian Jackson and Fraser Kinnaird. Kinnaird third place at the moment among the Moto team runners. Ray, Howarth, King. King never more than a second behind second place. Each time Will Howarth has put a spurt on, so has Jamie King. Blake Ansell through for 4th position, this time a lap ago. Sets a new personal best. He's not quite on the pace of the top 3 though, so I wonder whether Blake Ansell has now met his ceiling for this race. Still having passed John Buckle, that was for the final step on the pit bike 140 podium. Darren Anderson is still under some pressure though. Watching John Buckle slipping back, and Blake Ansell and Darren Anderson might not be done with their battle just yet. Jamie King meets one of the lap runners at just the wrong moment, and Will Howarth really has escaped away on lap number 6. Brad Ray 8.8 seconds clear. Will Howarth second, leader in the Moto team class. Third is with Jamie King, almost 2 seconds back now from Will Howarth. Darren Anderson did indeed recover that 4th position against Blake Ansell on lap number 6, so that's 2 laps in which they've exchanged positions twice. John Buckle dropping further back. Ian Jackson trying to find his way through at the far end of the circuit. John Buckle with the red helmet. Ian Jackson directly behind him. That's the closest fight on the circuit at the moment. Darren Anderson holding off Blake Ansell for 4th place, but remember those two are in different classes. They go either side of a lap runner, and Darren Anderson holds on to the inside line. John Buckle versus Ian Jackson for 6th though is for 4th in class, so those two are in the same category, and their race therefore really pertinent as Darren Anderson holds off Blake Ansell from the yellow flags into turn number 1, our favourite danger zone. Darren Anderson just a 1/10 of a second up now on Blake Ansell, who sits in 5th position. John Buckle setting a new personal best of 53.3 on lap 7, just to build a bit of a buffer against Ian Jackson. That really had closed up at one stage. It's still close on this lap. Actually, Jackson seems to have gained some ground on lap number 8 so far, as those two, Buckle with the red helmet, Ian Jackson directly behind him on the number 7 bike. The fight for 6th position. We've also got a squabble for 4th, Darren Anderson versus Blake Ansell. Still Anderson holding it for the moment. Ansell again alongside as they come down into Paddock Bend. He can't get there. Now an opportunity down into turn 1. Anderson's offline and through he comes. Now, where has Brad Ray gone off? Brad Ray on the far side of the circuit has left the track altogether, so our race leader, who was away and gone and settled in for the victory, looks as though he's dropped out. May be able to rejoin the circuit, although where he is hovering at the moment, it looks as though he's going back into the paddock. Yes, that is indeed the case. So Brad Ray, who was a comfortable race leader, leaves the circuit and leaves the race. Will Howarth picks up top spot then. He'll also be top in the Moto Team category. Jamie King is your new race leader in the Pit Bike 140s. So as Blake Ansell was battling away with Darren Anderson, those two are now fighting over third in scratch. Ansell, having come through then for second place, has managed to gap Darren Anderson on lap number 9. And John Buckle moves through up into a provisional podium place. So this fight between John Buckle and Ian Jackson that's been ongoing throughout is now over third step on the podium. John Buckle in the red helmet at the far end of the circuit, making his way around the spoon, side by side. Buckle loses out, Ian Jackson comes through. Buckle now repays the compliment down the inside, side by side, but he has to back out of it, and Jackson's got the move made through the carousel. Great job from Ian Jackson. Has John Buckle got time to respond? Less than 3 laps remaining. Well, that's twice now that John Buckle has been relegated out of a provisional podium place. Jamie King who leads the way. What's happened to Will Howarth as well? Where's Howarth running? Or not, as the case may be. No, it looks like a mechanical failure for Will Howarth. He's pulled off onto the infield. So we've had 2 race leaders drop out of the race. And your new Moto Team leader, or race leader, is Darren Anderson. Will Howarth has made his way backwards in towards the paddock. And that is quite sensational. 2 laps remaining, and the race has been decided by off-track excursions and mechanical failures. It's going to be Jamie King, who was well back and out of contention, who's going to take it if he can hold off Blake Ansell. Ansell has closed 1.5 seconds a lap over the last couple of laps. The gap is now just 2 seconds. It's less than that. It's a lot less than that. He's gained another 1.5 seconds here, and now he goes for the race lead. Up to the far end of the circuit here for top spot. Jamie King versus Blake Ansell. Ansell the faster of the two of them. A 51.9 on that previous lap. A 53.7 for Jamie King. King has got to defend on this last lap. He's got the inside line in towards the carousel. Holds on. Blake Ansell came so quickly onto the tail of Jamie King. Surely he's going to be able to find a way through. But time is ticking away. King holds on. Ansell fighting back. In towards the Devil's Elbow. King's got the racing line. Ansell's got the pace. He holds it offline. This is going to give him the inside into Paddock Bend, but he's too far back. Drag race down to the line. Jamie King, but only just. 1/10 of a second. The gap between Jamie King and Blake Ansell. That was an amazing ride from Blake Ansell as well, coming right through the fields. All the way from 13th on the grid to take second. It looked as though he'd met the limit as to what he was going to be able to achieve in that race, but he carried on, superseding it, and up through the field he came, gaining and gaining. 1.5 seconds a lap for 3 laps in succession to close on Jamie King, but then when he gets there he can't find a way past. Good defensive ride on the last lap from Jamie King to take the checkered flag, ahead of Blake Ansell in second. Darren Anderson in third is the first of the Moto Team runners. Ian Jackson takes the third step on the podium in the Pit Bike 140s. Keith Bolton gets second in the Moto Team class, 7th in scratch. And then further down the order, the third of the finishers in the Moto Team class is Neil Kinnaird, who finishes in 12th position, a lap up on Alistair Kinnaird, who finishes 4th.
Fantastic stuff. Yes, lots of drama happening in that race, and that is, I suppose, a really exciting and fitting way to end for the day here on Saturday in Wales at Glanagors. What a brilliant first day of 2 it has been. The round 7 of the 2017 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship. Thank you very much to everyone who has stayed with us online on our various live streams, either live radio on the Cool Fab Racing website, on some of our live Facebook streams as well. And we'll do it all again tomorrow with 2 rounds of racing. Kicking off later in the morning. We'll go back live, and do remember to share all of our streams. Thank you very much to all the people who've been a marshal here at the track, to the paramedics who've been called into action a couple of times, to the race control staff, and Roger Keys and Rob Keys, and Val as well. And we will be, like I said, back again doing it all tomorrow, where hopefully we'll have some better weather as well. Maybe even some sunshine as well. Thank you very much. That's it. Join us again tomorrow for more Cool Fab Racing.
The original and best British Championships for mini bikes. This is Cool Fab Racing.